Hello? Jack?
Beautiful.
What's up here? After you. What constitutes humanity's first real break from the world of nature. Wouldn't you say so? Hello?
The clock did much more than that. It became the model of the cosmos. And then they mistook the model for the real thing. People got the idea that nature was just a giant clock, not a living organism, but a machine. Together again, and then you understand the whole.
Isn't that what's known as scientific thinking, Miss Hoffman? Really? What you call
Cart.
But there's nothing bad about Descartes. In fact, I think Descartes is wonderful. He was a godsend to the 17th century. But times have changed since then. We need a new way of understanding life. Well, let's take the population problem, for example. You can't solve it by... But the short lives of these children cannot be seen in isolation. They're part of a whole system involving the economics, involving the environment, and more specifically, involving high levels of... Now, and now, now, and now. We don't see that all the problems simply are fragments of one single crisis, a crisis of perception. To offer this ecological way of thinking as a new way of looking at things. Help us overcome this crisis of perception. See, what I found here is that to think in an ecological way simply makes more sense of everything. It gives me a much firmer grasp of reality. It gives me... Descartes' dream of the world as a perfect machine was now an established fact. And of course, the old notions of the world as a living organism... Newtonian concepts were based on things that could actually be seen, or at least visualized. But what they were now finding in this strange and unexpected world were concepts that could no longer be visualized. And when they went on battling with this absurd phenomenon...
That little model he made out of Tinker Toys with sticks and balls, that was wrong, right?
Right, wrong. A particle is essentially a set of relations that reach outward to connect.
Relationships make music.
Relationships make matter.
1968, Chicago, Democratic Convention. The cops are getting ready to charge the demonstrator, and I'm standing there next to this guy who I have never before seen in my life, and I say to him, well, I'm going home. And he says...
When I look around in the sciences, I see the same patterns emerging everywhere, the same notions of holism, the same thinking in terms of processes instead of structures.
Go along with it. And should you succeed in really changing his views and win him over... The problems are so complex. There's so much crossover from one problem to another. It's hard for people to even begin to think about them. Still, I think Thomas Jefferson was every bit as great a mind as Isaac Newton was.
I do think that as long as you continue looking at things through that old patriarchal Cartesian Newtonian lens, you're going to miss out on what the world really is.
I doubt if there's been a better form of government anywhere in history ever. And of course, getting into politics.
Jack, are you still asking me for a program? I'm trying to... Instead of concentrating on basic building blocks, the systems view concentrates on principles of organization. Instead of cutting things to pieces, it looks at the living system as a whole.
How can you think usefully about things in this holistic way? That's what I don't see.
You can contemplate them, you can look at them, as Thomas says. But if you want to do something, if you want to get into specifics, by definition, don't you have to take things apart? How can you talk usefully about a tree without talking about its roots or its leaves or its bark?
Oh, I could. Without even naming the parts you mentioned. A Cartesian would look at a tree and conceptually take it to pieces. But then he would never really understand the nature of the tree. A systems thinker would look at a tree and see the seasonal exchange between tree and earth, earth and sky. Would see the annual cycle, which really is one big breath the earth takes through its forests, providing us with oxygen, a breath of life, linking the earth with the sky and us with the universe. A systems thinker would look at the tree and see the life of the tree only in relation to the life of the whole forest. Would see the tree as a habitat for birds, a home for insects. But if you look at a tree and try to understand it as something separate, you will be bewildered by the millions of fruits it's producing in its lifetime, because only 1 or 2 trees will grow from those fruits. So if you look at the tree and see it as a member of a larger living system, that abundance of fruits will make sense, because hundreds upon hundreds of forest animals and birds will survive because of them. Interdependence. And the tree cannot survive on its own either. To draw water from the ground, it needs the fungus that grows at the tip of each root. And the fungus needs the root to survive, and the root needs the fungus. If one dies, the other dies. And there are millions of relationships like this in our world, each depending on each other for life. The systems theory recognizes this web of relationships as the essence of all living things. Only the uninformed would call such a notion naive or romantic, because this dependency we all share is a scientific fact.
A web of relationships.
Yes, but this time it is the web of life itself. The theory of living systems actually provides you with an outline of an answer to that eternal question, what is life?
Okay, Sonia, let's hear it. What's life?
Well, in system language, the answer would be the essence of life is self-organization. There is self-transcending. See, self-organization is not only the living systems maintaining themselves and continuously renewing themselves. It means that a living system is self-maintaining, self-renewing, self-transcending.
What is self-maintaining?
Self-maintaining, self-organized. See, self-organization is not only the living systems maintaining themselves and continuously renewing themselves. It also means that they have an inherent tendency to transcend themselves, to reach out and create new forms. That the basic dynamics of evolution, it's not adaptation, it's creativity.
What a day! What a day!